Minister of Trade and Investments explains the reasons for Nigeria's drop in investment destination ranking. And Lagos State Governor rules out peace walk over the increasing rate of Omicron variant of COVID-19 in Nigeria. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Okimale in Abuja. The planned peace walk by the governor of Lagos State in the aftermath of the NSAS report submitted to him has now been cancelled. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, announced that preparations towards the Lagos peace walk planned for December 2021 will be put on hold. The governor disclosed this in a statement signed by him today. He said that he's constrained to stand down all preparations for the walk for peace as not to endanger the life of any Lagosian amid the outbreak of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. Well, let's tell you that the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has met with the members of the National Assembly today. The meeting was called by the lawmakers for the INEC boss to explain the cost of conducting direct primaries in view of the anticipation of President Buhari's assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. It was a meeting held behind closed doors, but the lawmakers spoke about their engagement afterwards. Apologies for the bad sound on that video. If you are able to fix it, or perhaps bring it to you later on the program. But let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The federal government continues to make further clarifications on the circumstances surrounding the expiration of over 1 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccines, insisting that it will not have any negative impact on the ongoing mass vaccination exercise. The executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shaib, told journalists in Abuja that the majority of the vaccines donated to Nigeria have short shelf life, owing to the fact that the vaccines were hoarded by developed countries. The chairman of the House Committee on Appropriations, Aliyu Betara, says the Independent National Electoral Commission insists that only the political parties have the responsibility on primaries and the funding. He stated this after a closed-door meeting with the chairman of INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, at the National Assembly. According to him, the INEC chairman also told lawmakers that the role of the commission in direct or indirect primaries is minimal, and the responsibility lies with all the political parties.
As what INEC chairman told us is only political parties has responsibility on primaries.
Rivers State Governor Yeston Wike is challenging the federal government on transparency and the use of public funds. Governor Wike threw the challenge during the commissioning of the dualized Rumuola flyover in Obiakwo local government area of Rivers State by the former governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko. The governor says while his administration is judiciously using public funds without fear of being probed by the anti-graft agencies, the federal government should show what they have used the borrowed funds under the present administration for to achieve in the country.
Let anybody come and probe whether these contracts are real or not. Rivers people have seen it. Where is their money? I can say, go to Rumuola flyover.
Explanations being made over the state of the economy in Nigeria and the recent ranking of Nigeria as an investment destination on the continent. President Buhari was in Dubai, where he said Nigeria is perhaps the best investment destination on the continent. But the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mr. Niyi Adebayo, has blamed the nation's security challenge as a major factor responsible for Nigeria's fall from the top 10 preferred investment destination in Africa. It was reacting to a recent report which showed a drop in Nigeria's position to number 14 in a ranking carried out by RMB, a division of the First Rand Bank Limited. The minister underscores that the government is doing all that is necessary to return Nigeria to its position. Take a listen to the minister.
There are various factors the reasons for that are various, and the major one being the security problems that we have in the country. And as you are well aware, the federal government is making every effort to resolve the security problems so that we will go back to the position of being the preferred destination. Our position is getting better because there seems to be a big interest now, again, in investing in Nigeria. So I'm sure as time goes on, we will begin to see an improvement in that situation.
Well, President Muhammadu Buhari was in Lagos earlier today. It was involved in various assignments, from launching some project to attending the book launch in honor of the former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Chief B.C. Akande, and the former Osun State governor. The president spoke highly of the APC chieftain, and here are some of the views of President Buhari on Chief B.C. Akande.
Chief B.C. Akande is, by common consent, a decent, truthful, friendly person. He is a public servant by choice and an administrator of the first order. My first personal contact with Chief Akande was, if I recall correctly, in 2006, when a preliminary consultations were coming to fruition for a grand coalition to unseat the PDP government. Those efforts eventually came to nothing. Neither he nor I, nor many of our friends and associates gave up, as in Chief Akande's words, the country was going down and down under PDP. B.C. Akande had risen to prominence from his participation in the Constituent Assembly established by General Olusegun Obasanjo's military government. In or out of office, he has trained his inflexible integrity. On page 400 of his book, he wrote, and I quote, "I never gave to or demanded bribe from anyone all my life," unquote. A perfect gentleman, a perfect public officer.
Well, that's the President Muhammadu Buhari speaking about Chief B.C. Akande, perhaps the first national chairman of the APC. Let's speak about the state of the nation in view of the fact that the National Consultative Front, NCF, is setting up a shadow cabinet to put the government on its toes and proffer a more robust conversation on policy and governance with the hope of giving an alternative to the electorate to choose from at a poll in 2023. Tonight, I'm being joined by a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Gali Naba, who is also a member and a chieftain of the National Consultative Forum. He joins us from Abuja. Thank you so much, Honorable Gali Naba. It's good to see you again. Let me begin by getting to your view. The APC, the PDP, these are perhaps Nigeria's, some of Nigeria's biggest political parties, the ruling party and Nigeria's main opposition party. But the NCF appears to say they are a third force. What are you bringing to the table first and foremost?
Well, Sean, I told your colleague since yesterday that I am no longer a member of the National Consultative Forum, the NCF. Therefore, I cannot speak in their behalf.
So, I mean, apologies for that. So, but let's begin the conversation from your point of view on the state of the nation. So, speak to us about your view on the state of the nation. Let's speak the economy, for example. You heard the Minister of Trade and Investment who said the reason for the ranking of Nigeria, number 14, as it were, on the ranking for the investment destination on the continent is because of security. From your own standpoint, how do you hope that we can deal with the situation?
Well, so many things are wrong with the country, Shewin, but there is a clear way to help solve those problems. And what is worse is that the perception of the international community, of course, is that there is no security in Nigeria, and that investors who want to come have been saying they want to come and invest, but we have not been seeing anything. And this is no doubt related to the way and manner that the country is being governed. There is a lack of seriousness. Those in power are still not yet ready to accept that they must mend their ways. We have lost it democratically because those responsible for the preservation of democracy have been running around it instead of operating according to democratic tenets, to the extent that the immunity of the political system has broken down. And unless we begin to take measures to bring about or to strengthen or to reclaim this immunity, this country is going to continue to drift. This is a question, you know, for consideration, that once you see something drifting, and we are definitely drifting, nobody will shy away from it. We must not shy away from the fact that the country is drifting because we want to satisfy the ego of certain people. We must say the truth, and that measures must be taken to arrest this drift. And that must begin by the political authorities from top to bottom.
If security is a major problem and it's affecting the economy, we've seen Kaduna, we've seen Zamfara, we've seen Sokoto making efforts in looking into breaking down communication from the bandits into the larger population of the society, just to break their ranks such that they don't have the communication to carry out their atrocity. First and foremost, we need to deal with the security, then be able to achieve more on the issue of the economy. So first and foremost, what are we doing wrongly in tackling the issue of security? Or what, in your own view, should we be doing in arresting the insecurity situation?
Well, my own take here is that there has been so much misgovernance in the country, you know, from the federal government to the state governments to the local governments. That is a general state of misgovernance. There has been no good governance, and even the way we operate our political parties is not the way it is supposed to be. Because key to all of these things, in order for us to be able to bring about order in the country, is that we must take very good care of our political parties. We must allow our political parties to grow. How do they grow? They grow by imposing order on the political parties. There must be internal democracy. There must be no imposition by those in control of the parties, and there must be a situation where people are generally confident in our political parties. So the first issue is to tackle the issue of politics. Once we are properly organized, and I believe that political parties are a lever or are levers for determining whether a polity is healthy or not. And you will agree with me that since 1999, we have refused to allow our political parties to grow. And because they have not grown, the polity has not grown, definitely the economy will not grow as a consequence. And the issue of social development has also become contentious, because we cannot grow socially unless there is political and economic order, and there is none. So I believe that those in control of the political parties must put their houses in order. They must accept that they have been wrong. They must apologize to Nigerians, and they must change their ways. The alternative is for us to continue in this manner. And of course, if they choose to continue in this manner, they are exposing us, they are exposing the country, and there is no way this country can continue to survive, because no society, survives on the altar of disorder. We are so disorganized. And there are reasons, and these reasons are largely political. And we must begin to look at these things as honestly as possible. Those in control must look at these issues as honestly as possible. The issue of security is subsidiary, because insecurity is brought about by the social misgovernance of society. It is the activities we do in a negative fashion that in the long run gather together and become security issues. So in order to, obliterate any sign of insecurity, we must behave properly. We must bring about within ourselves, a good moral and social conduct.
Honorable Naba, let me get you clearly. Are you blaming politicians or the political class for the insecurity situation in the country?
Of course, the political class is largely responsible, because they are the governors, they are the president, they are the political party operators. So if they have shown leadership, definitely we wouldn't have these security issues in the country. Therefore, I will not shy away from blaming the political class because I'm a politician.
So, but I mean, in the real sense of it, so that Nigerians who are watching tonight will have a clear mind of where the problem is and how we can go about resolving it. First and foremost, when you are blaming the political class, is it an intentional act of perpetrating the insecurity situation, or these are just incendiary, or these are just incidental, or perhaps they are based on their inaction, or it's unknowing to them how the insecurity situation had grown, or there are specific things that you can make reference to that has helped this insecurity to grow. Would you like to expatiate on that?
Well, the fact of the matter is that a lot of people who happen to find themselves in positions of authority believe that they can do anything and get away with it. And this is contrary to the theory of social organizations. I don't want to be too technical, but I believe that social organizations have what we call souls. They have a soul, and therefore they have life. And when you violate social organizations, they have a way of retaliating, because you are dealing with human lives. You are dealing with human beings. And therefore, it is not correct for these people to assume that they can do anything and get away with it. And over the last 20 years, people who happen to find themselves in governance have been doing whatever their hearts desire. And therefore, they have brought society to a level that it has become totally disorganized, out of control, due to actions that border on corruption, misgovernance, and very, very unfortunately, lack of commitment to the people. And
because when you, for example,
people,
apologies to cut in, when you blame the political class for the growing insecurity in Nigeria, I mean, incidentally, you are a member of the political class. You rose to being number 4 in the hierarchy of political authority in Nigeria. And you've explained all of these, and one wonders how, when you explain that the political class have perpetrated all of these in Nigeria, how come this has happened and they have not been held accountable? From your own standpoint, why is this still ongoing and it still keeps happening and they're not held accountable?
Well, Sean, I told you that I am a member of the political class, of course, and I was Speaker of the House of Representatives. I don't know if you were around between 1999 and 2003, and whether or not you follow events. It took the House of Representatives, of which I was Speaker, to attempt to impeach a president over the issues bedeviling this country. So some of us did our best. But what happened was that those in the executive arm and the leaders of our political party conspired together to ensure that they have subdued the legislature, and therefore nobody can check them. They have taken over the powers given to the people by our constitution, in the sense that today those who are in control of our political parties are our governors, and successive presidents have been beneficiaries of this political party misgovernance by governors. And today, the legislature is populated mainly, both at the federal and state levels, by people who are nominated and not elected, by the governors. They are selected by the governors. And unfortunately, in this case, the members of the legislature at the federal and state levels cannot bring the governors and the president to account. And therefore, you cannot emasculate the legislature and accept that things would go well in the country. Therefore, for us to be able to reclaim our country, we must set our politics right. We must do whatever we can to reorganize our democracy, to make it operate according to the books. And we must not be running around
let me answer specifically now. If you have the power right now to fix things, with the benefit of your experience as a former House Speaker and your experience over the years seeing our democracy grow, what would you do differently, or what would you do to fix things?
Well, Sharon, what I must do is to do things that will bring about the confidence of Nigerians in themselves and in the country. And that once confidence is restored in the people, I think 80 to 90% of the problem is being solved. What is happening today is that, and this is true about underdevelopment in our countries, that individuals and the state have lost confidence in themselves. And once confidence is restored, and there are many measures one can take in order for us to be able to restore confidence in the people. But once people believe that they cannot get what is due to them unless they resort to self-help, then definitely that system is in trouble. And this is the kind of system we are running. We don't have the time for me to be able to analyze most of the sectors that are important in this endeavor, but I believe that we have to restore confidence by setting our politics right. Let us do what is right. Let us do what is morally, socially right. Once we begin to take these measures, I believe that confidence will gradually begin to return. If you, as a consequence of the situation we are in today, you'll find out that most things, or most indices that are responsible for bringing about development are dilapidated in this country. The state of education is abysmal, for example. We must have an educated country. Go and have a look at our primary schools, for example, public primary schools, public secondary schools. See the level of dilapidation of these schools. I visited my primary school a few months ago. I shed tears because not only do they not have good teachers, well-trained teachers, and the physical structures, even the floor on which the school children sit on today, because there is no furniture anyway, it's bare. So you see, we have to look at these things. Once if you have visitors, for example, if you have particular countries that want to attack us, for example, and they'll go and visit our schools, they'll just go back and rest, because they know that within a few years we will collapse. I don't want to sound pessimistic, but this is what I have seen. And I must say it. There is no way we can keep engaging in self-denial.
Honorable Galina Abba, former member of the House of Representatives, thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return from the break, Rinsola Abiola, a member of the All Progressives Congress, a member of the APC Southwest Caucus, will be joining me. There seems to be some rumbling within the APC ahead of the 2023 election. The youth are up to something. We'll find out what they have up their sleeves when we return from this break. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on Channels Television. Recently, youth within the ruling All Progressives Congress APC have been speaking up about the state of affairs of their party, especially as it relates to the choice of candidates, leadership of the party, and engagements of the youth within the party. It appears the young people within the ruling party are up to something, and they have consistently shown their passion for this, and they are very vocal too about it. Recently, they had a conference where they had chieftains of the party. The youth made it known that they want to be part of the mainstream in the choice of who becomes the candidate of the APC going forward for the presidential election in 2023. One of the young people in the APC joins me tonight. She's a member of the Southwest Caucus of the APC Youth Lobby Committee, Rinsola Abiola, joins us from our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Rinsola, for joining us tonight. What is happening within the APC? Because we see that it does look like the youth are uncomfortable with some of the happenings within the APC. Are things really getting to a head? It does look like you guys are uncomfortable and unhappy with the state of affairs. What is going on?
Well, I don't think the word is uncomfortable or unhappy, so to speak. It's about young people realizing that we have a role to play, that we need to organize to help young people take charge of our political future, both within the party and nationally. It's about understanding the fact that something needs to be done to increase the current levels of youth inclusion and participation in politics and leadership, both within the party system and in public service generally. And we're taking steps to make sure that young people are better included, that young people play a more active role within leadership structures.
Do you guys feel left out in the scheme of things?
Okay, so we have a number of young people currently occupying positions, but of course it could be better. And we understand that advocacy is the way to ensure that we have increased participation. Advocacy is the way to ensure that we have more young people taking up leadership roles within the party.
So in the real sense of it, you have the caretaker committee.
Yes, we do.
Just a few days ago, I had two young men who came on the program. One of such groups was saying that they have sacked the caretaker committee of the party and they are instituting another caretaker committee because they feel that the caretaker committee is illegal and overstayed its term in office based on what the NEC has provided. Some of the group in the party had described them as renegades. We see these conflicting arguments, this conflicting position of young people in the APC, and you wonder, this is the ruling party. Why is this kind of internal wranglings or these rumblings happening in the APC? Is the leadership really not able to pull the strings together?
Well, I would say, firstly, regarding the young people you made reference to, it's a democracy, and we see all sorts in a democracy, especially within the political party system. We've also had supposed members of their leadership committee come out to disclaim the group. So I think the question is, if they're not able to manage their own supposed members, how do they intend to manage a political party? Regarding the internal wranglings within the party, well, even within families, we have conflict from time to time, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to resolve the issues going forward. However, our major concern is youth mainstreaming, ensuring that young people play a more active role and, you know, working towards a surer political future for our country and for our party.
So you guys have set up what you call a lobby committee.
Yes.
And I mean, I was watching the National Convention of the Youth in the APC the other day, and you guys seem to be more serious about the involvement of the youth. I mean, the youth that we know in politics in Nigeria, and during the election, they're the ones who sit at home. They're the ones who form the fulcrum of the voting population, but they never come out to vote. Look at the voting population and the statistics of those who come out to vote. You find more elderly women forming the bulk of voters on election day. The youth are basically not generally involved. So the big question is, what is giving rise to this realization of young people in the APC?
First off, on the issue of voter apathy, I think that's hardly a youth problem alone, so to speak, because you'll find that voter turnout is low generally across different groups, so it's hardly a youth issue. With regards to young people within the party, I would say that we have realized that we need to do something about the level of youth participation. Nigeria was built on the backs of young people. Many of our leaders were very young when they started out, and, you know, back in our glory years, it was young people in charge of the affairs of this country. And everyone, it's common knowledge that young people have the zeal, the skill, the passion to actually move the country forward. There's a lot of talent, there's a lot of skill. Young people are able to keep up with global realities, global developments. You know, in commerce, in tech, young people are everywhere. Nigerian youth particularly are doing really well, putting this country on the map. And for us, it's just about making sure that in politics, we're not left out. And young people need to take their rightful place in the scheme of things in this country. And we're starting that from within the political system, mobilizing young people and galvanizing youth so that we take charge of our political future.
So in that sense, are the youth in the APC saying they want a youth president, youth governors, or what exactly is the stance of the youth in the APC?
Regarding the issue of youth president, I think it's hardly that straightforward. There are quite a number of us who either work closely with or support different rumored presidential aspirants, but we're not focusing on the things that divide us, as I said earlier. We're focusing on a common youth agenda. Our agenda for youth inclusion, for youth participation, for youth mainstreaming is much bigger than any individual. So it's not about individuals for us. It's about defining a common agenda for young people. It's about making sure that young people take their rightful place in the scheme of things in this country, that young people occupy leadership positions, not just within the party, but in public service. And for us, it's a number of things. As you noted earlier, when the interview began, we had a progressive youth conference in June at the International Conference Center. It was declared open by the president. The president himself has been very committed to youth inclusion. This was the same president that signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law. So we are just making sure that, you know, we have a bill already that supports youth inclusion, but within the party system, what we're accustomed to is the position of the national youth leader and then not much else, so to speak. But we are saying that minus such positions that have been set aside specifically for, you know, the leadership of a particular demography, young people should also take other positions within the party structure. We've been able to do a lot of work with mobilization. Young people played a very key role at our congresses, at ward level, at local government level, at state level. You know, hitherto on recorded levels of youth participation. We have a lot more young people in positions within the party. In Oyo State, we have Fatima Adeleke. She's senatorial women leader-elect for Oyo South. She's very young. She's just about 28. We have, you know, a senatorial youth leader also from Oyo State, Akin. You know, we have a lot of young people who are able to ascend to positions within the party. And we're saying that come the National Convention in February, God willing, we also intend to mobilize to ensure that young people run for leadership positions within the National Working Committee and the National Executive Council of the party.
I'm speaking to you tonight, Rinsala. I know this next question might be a bit personal and a bit emotional for you, but you were probably very young when your father ran for office in 1993, 1992, 1993. He was about 56 or 57 years of age at that time.
Yeah.
And you're someone who's watched things go from that moment up to this moment. From your own point of view, in terms of the choice and the quality of leadership that Nigeria needs, what in your own view is the kind of the president Nigeria needs in 2023?
It would have to be somebody with a proven track record of developing people, somebody who is a leader of people, a leader of men, a leader of women, somebody who has contributed their quota to our democracy, contributed their quota to sustaining democracy in this country. It has to be somebody with a proven track record of excellence in public service. It has to be somebody who appeals to a large section of our population in the north and the south, somebody who understands what democracy is and will respect the rights of the people. It has to be somebody who has demonstrated a capacity to rally people, to galvanize people. It has to be somebody who has demonstrated their respect for young people and the skills that we possess and how much we can contribute to making things happen in this country. It has to be somebody who is dedicated to change, who not only says it, but who will do everything that it takes to bring about the future of our dreams. It has to be somebody who we know will constitute an excellent team that will hit the ground running, that will build on achievements by this administration. It has to be somebody who we can trust to ensure adequate representation, not just for young people, but for women and other marginalized groups. It has to be somebody who understands the history of our country, how delicate things are, and will work hard to make sure that you know, there are no allegations that could mar his or her presidency. And for me, it has to be somebody who respects Nigeria as one entity and will do everything it takes to solve whatever issues that we might be experiencing as a people.
Your checklist is very long and very robust. And I'm wondering, when you kept describing, I was trying to put the pieces together, it looks so much like a high stake for whoever fits into that bill. Do you have those kind of people or that kind of personality of character that you have described in your party at the moment?
As a matter of fact, we do. But I'm not here really to talk about who I would like to support for 2023. But I don't think, well, definitely to rule or to lead a country like Nigeria is a tall order. So you have to be qualified in every respect. But do we have people like that within the party? Yes, we do.
So you said someone who have to hit the ground running. Are you talking about someone who has to be in office, or just someone who is in private sector who will come into, who understand the scheme of things, or someone who has been in this administration?
Well, I would say somebody who has a firm understanding of both politics and business. It's very key.
Well, I mean, let me take you back to the issue of the youth advocacy. How serious are the youth in the APC? You guys are talking tough. In that your conference you had, you guys were talking tough. You wanted that inclusion. You want to be recognized. You want to have an active participation. But is it just talking? You guys, because they say nobody will, power is not a la carte. You have to go for it. You have to grab it. It won't have to be put on your laps on a silver platter. You have to go for it. How serious are the youth in the APC?
You know, I made a point earlier about it not being about young people being unhappy or dissatisfied. It's more about us realizing that we need to do something. And we have been working assiduously hard to actually achieve results. Our national youth representative, Barrister Ismail Ahmed, has been very committed to creating enhanced spaces for young people. And as I mentioned earlier, young people played a very key role in the recently concluded congresses, ward level, local government level, state level. Since the convention in June, we've had a lot of young people, you know, being very actively involved in the party across the country. After the National Progressive Youth Conference, we also had lobby committees set up. I'm part of the Southwest Caucus, for instance. We have different regional youth lobby committees also, and we've engaged with leaders within the party, of course, all with an aim to ensuring enhanced participation and mainstreaming for young people. So as I mentioned earlier, we're also organizing, we'll be lobbying our leaders. We're organizing to ensure ensure that young people are better represented in leadership structures within the party come the convention in February, God willing. We're looking at running for positions within the National Working Committee and the National Executive Council. We're also looking at, tapping into crowdfunding. We understand that Nigeria has, we don't really have a culture of crowdfunding in our politics for now, but there is no participation in politics, especially at certain levels, without adequate funding. So we'll be working on using technology to raise funds for young people who will be aspiring to leadership positions within the party and also vying for elections at the general elections, both at state and federal level. We also have a Progressive Institute set up more like a capacity building platform for young people who are aspiring to leadership positions, both within the party and at the polls. There's quite a lot of work that's going on, and I'm very proud of young people across the party who have decided to get in the driver's seat. And actually, we're done complaining about the state of things. Now it's about action. It's about getting results. It's about doing the needful. There are quite a number of us adding value to the party system at the local level also. In the realization that politics is local, we're doing everything we can to pretty much brighten the fortunes of the party, so to speak, in our respective local governments and our senatorial districts in our state. So we have quite a number of people coming up. And honestly, I just have to say that I think just watch out for young people from the APC. We know what we're doing. We know what we want to achieve. And it's about ensuring that young people are better represented in decision-making structures, both within the party and in public service.
What is the ultimate agenda of your group, of the youth caucus in the APC?
Basically, balance. It's, democracy, by virtue of its nature, requires the full participation of different sectors of the citizenry for it to really work. Going by the definition alone, a government of the people, by the people, for the people, the people have to be involved. And take a look at Nigeria's voters register, for instance. As at 2019, with the 2019 polls, young people, 18 to 35 age bracket, made up 51.1% of the voter register. 36 to 50 had about roughly 30%. People within 51 to 69 or thereabouts made up about 15% or thereabouts. And 70 plus had just about 3% or 3.7%, if I recall correctly. So this shows that young people make up the bulk of our voter population, and this is projected to increase even further with the ongoing voter registration process. We're looking at those numbers going up significantly because we have even more young people becoming eligible to vote, and they're registering to vote. So our job is to make sure that we aggregate the voices of young people, not just within the party, so to speak, because even at the conference, the major purpose of that conference was to speak the truth to ourselves and to our leaders, because they were all there. And one thing I must say about our party is that there is nothing that young people want to do that our leaders are not interested in. When it comes to support, when it comes to giving us listening ears, when it comes to identifying with our cause, our leaders have proven to do exceptionally when it comes to that. And we're actually very hopeful that our lobby to ensure that young people are better represented in leadership structures of the party will yield positive results.
So I'm going to ask you a few direct questions, and they're quick ones. The first and foremost is whether your party has the credibility now, the street credibility with Nigerians, the kind of popularity it had in 2015 with a lot of Nigerians. Do you think that you can go to the street and talk about the APC to an average Nigerian youth?
I mean, I beg it very often, and I talk to my people very often on the streets about the APC. And I haven't had anyone shoo me off or complain and say they weren't going to listen. I'll say something. People generally need to realize that realities differ. And when you are the grassroots, when you're within the people, when you're on the streets, so to speak, our people have very different priorities. And general sentiments on social media, for instance, will not necessarily hold true when you're doing grassroots engagements. A lot of us are very involved at the local level.
But the question, Rinsola, is whether or not your party, APC, has lived up to the expectations of Nigerians. And so as a youth, I mean, the youth have active participation on social media. That's a section of the youth population. So the question is, can you, as a young person, go to the street and speak about your party, considering the promise and the delivery on those promises 6 years or 7 years after?
Well, as I said earlier, I engage people often regarding the party, and it's never been an issue. And I think one thing also that we have to note, we haven't done 100% in every area, but we've done decently. And I'm quite hopeful that our next president will build on what we've been able to achieve in this administration.
Another critical question is the internal politics. And I see that you guys are becoming so smart to the point that you want funding is a major problem if you want to achieve anything within a party structure. So the influence of the governors, the influence of the structure of the party, very, very important. How are you guys going to contend with that?
Well, as you said earlier, power is not served a la carte. And as young people who want to occupy leadership positions, you know, we're organizing for leadership, we're organizing for followership. We understand that funding is key. And as I said earlier, we're working to build a tradition of crowdfunding. We're working to support those amongst us who have aspirations, both within the party and at the polls. And we're also working to build a central fund, working to develop capacity, not just with regards to funding now. And we're working to mobilize massively for our primaries. So when young people actually begin to make good use of our numbers. You know, it's one thing to say, oh, we make up 70% of the population, and it's another entirely to actually bring those numbers out so that our leaders see it. So when you begin to step into your power, people will take you more seriously. So we're organizing to raise funds. People can support us, of course. You don't have to be a member of the party. But we're really organizing to raise funds, and we're organizing to, yeah.
So on a final note, just quickly, are the youth supporting any particular presidential hopeful in your party?
Well, as I said earlier, we have a number of young people who are working closely with or supporting different candidates. So it's not, for us right now, it's not about one person or one individual or one aspirant, because they're all still aspirants until the primaries. But I believe that perhaps at a point we might have to put heads together and decide on one candidate. And at that time, I believe it will be whoever has the best deal for young people.
Because we have the Vice President of Shibajo's name that have been thrown up. Shiwaju Bola Tinubu's name have been thrown up. You are from the Southwest. Yeah. That's a big deal, isn't it? If these names have been thrown up in the Southwest, the governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi's name have been thrown up. The name of the former Lagos governor, Babatunde Fashola, also have been thrown up. It's going to be a confusing and a very tricky one for the Southwest, isn't it?
Oh, well, it's a democracy. People are free to aspire. That's why we have internal party processes like primaries to, you know, drop aspirants by the wayside and decide on one candidate.
Thank you so much, Onisola Abiola, a member of the APC Youth Lobby Committee and a member of the Southwest Caucus of the APC. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.